This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-electric Prologue SUV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the generous passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Unplugged. I'm so happy you decided to join us. Before we jump in, I don't do this every week, but I would love if you went over, left a review, left a comment. I listen to all of those. Give me some topics. Send over to Steve at teachhoops.com. What kind of topics do you want to hear? But before we jump into today's topic, I'd like to give a big shout out to our two sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shooting machine on the market. I've tried them all, and this is not only how innovative are, but the workouts and what I love about Dr. Dish is they give back to the community. If you follow them on Facebook, if you follow them on Twitter, they're always giving back to the basketball community. And you mentioned Coach Unplugged, they'll give you $450 off. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It is a one-stop shop for basketball coaches. It's resources, it's handouts, it's videos, it's one-on-one calls, it's office hours. It's a coach. It's a resource run by a coach for a coach. It's not an ex-coach, not someone that's been let go, not someone that's coaching part-time. This is what I do. And Teach Hoops helps me keep the bills on. It helps me put up these podcasts, 13 podcasts a week. Teach Hoops helps me be able to do that. And it's a roadmap for you to be successful. And let me help you in this great journey that we call coaching. But let's head off to the podcast.
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can. Now I can.
Coach, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
How's it going?
It's good. I just ran home from the gym, so it's a little cooler in the house than it is in the gym, so that's always good. I'm taping this so I can send it to you too when we're done. If we go through anything that you specifically need, turn off my phone. All right, go ahead. Do you have questions or things you want to?
Yeah, I got a list.
Okay.
Well, I'll give you some background. I know that that context will probably help. So last year was my first year coaching at the varsity level, at least.
Okay.
And I took, I'm new to the school. So I grew up around 15 minutes from the school. So I thought I had an idea of what I was walking. So
I'm laughing because I've heard that like a million times. It's like you never really know until you know. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. So yeah, I went to so I'm from Missouri. So 4A is pretty large school. The school
What's the sizes? It goes, what's the biggest to smallest?
Biggest is 6A.
6A to 1A?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I thought we had a lot of classes. Okay. We go from one is our big to 5, which is our small. So, okay.
Yeah. So 1 is small and then 6 is big. So whenever I went to school, I went to a decent sized school, I would say. Then 15 minutes down the road is a small school, which I'm coaching at now. And when I say small, I think that high school has 60 kids total. So
60 total?
Total, yeah. So 13 to 20 kids per class. So I just thought it was a smaller version of what I was used to, but definitely isn't. So the learning curve is, the kids don't understand as much. I don't want to call them dumb or anything, but there's definitely a learning curve difference.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's one of the things. And the other thing is they haven't won a game. So before I got there, they hadn't won a game. I think it was in 3 years.
Okay.
So they've never really experienced any kind of success.
It's hard. It's hard because you basically, how many? I mean, let's assume half are boys. Are you boys or girls?
Boys. Yeah.
Okay, so you assume half are boys, half are girls. That leaves you only 30 to, and then half. Wow. Okay, so you're dealing with a very small number of players.
Yes. And it's like a really rural community. So
Farming.
15 of the kids are farmers that have no interest in sports.
Right.
So there's 50. I think there's 10 kids on the baseball team, so it's like a baseball community, which is tough. Another obstacle. I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to. Think
No. I get it. So the obstacle is you got to get players. Like
right,
you gotta. So how's the youth program?
So it was non-existent. That's one of the first things I did was, I asked, around the parents, if there's anyone that would be willing to step up and coach the youth program. They all were kind of shocked that I was even asking. But I ended up talking my dad into coaching the youth program.
Okay.
So we have that.
So sometimes I'm going to say the plus of that is you don't have a parent. So that's a plus.
Right.
You have a non-parent do it. Sometimes all we can do is find parents. But I think, okay. So, and then how many, so you got, okay. So what grade levels and did you start that at?
Started it. So I actually have a nephew he's in second grade, but he built like a fourth or fifth grader.
Right.
So we started it third through sixth. We actually had two teams. We had second, third, and fourth, and then a fifth and sixth grade team.
That's a good idea. Yeah. And what I would do then, if you're moving forward at some point, I'd go 6, 7, and then I'd try to leave 8 by itself. The reason being,
like
even if
grades,
yes, if you can do that. I don't know if the numbers wise, but trying to get them more ready for high school. Like if you can leave 8 together, that's helped other small communities. I know you group 6 and 7. And again, you got to go grab some 7th graders, throw them in the 8, you do that, but you try to leave a group kind of, this is your 8th grade group. You're going to come in together, blah, 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 blah. So that's been successful for other programs that I've helped. And again, that's down the line. I think you're right. Starting, let's get them before they get into baseball or whatever, hook them before they get into some other stuff. I think that's a good idea. Yep.
Yeah. So,
and fundamental shoot. So I'm going to tell you one thing you should be working on, and it's hard with kindergartners, but the smaller the school, the more you should be working on shooting and ball handling. Shooting. I mean, if you can shoot at that, I don't know. Right. You coached a year. If you can shoot, you probably take care of a lot of your problems.
Yes. So our biggest detriment is ball handling for sure.
Right. Because if I'm superior to you, I'm going to press you, turn you over, and then I'm going to score. So that's why I said, but shooting you got to get the ball over half court to be able to shoot. I get it. So ball handling and maybe wait till middle school, but shooting should be from 6 through 8. All they should do is be taking shots.
So that's one of the good things about this is whenever I took the job, they had an opening for a middle school coach too.
Okay.
And I just went ahead and took that as well. So middle school is 6th through 8th grade for the class 1.
Yep.
So I have them like school sponsored sport, right?
Okay.
And then our youth program is like outside of school. They're just playing like other, area schools and like parent coached teams.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So you got them playing. That's good. That's your first step. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of the background. Then I'll start with the questions. So,
okay.
Last year was tough. the good thing is we just had freshmen and sophomores. So we didn't have any juniors and seniors on the team at all.
Really? Okay.
Really. Yeah.
That's good. The best thing about a freshman is they become a sophomore. I'm telling you, that's the best thing. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, but so the downsides is we started the season off with 8 kids, which was tough. A few of them have never played before. And it showed, obviously. Yep. But, we lost one. He broke his ankle like the first game of the season. We lost another one due to grades. And then another one got diagnosed with like a pretty severe illness that wouldn't allow him to play. So at the end of the year, we only had 6, sometimes 5 kids.
Okay. That's tough. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hard to have a practice, but yes, I get it.
Hard to have a practice, but the biggest thing I have a hurdle of is the boys and the community, and everyone wants to think of these as like excuses, and that drives me nuts. It seems like that's the biggest hurdle is like, they just get in this, well, woe is me mentality.
Yep. It's easy when you're losing to do that too. It's easy, like blame it on. Yeah, I get it. Do you have a group? So here's a question. Do you have a group that's coming that really loves basketball, that loves doing it? Like, is there a group?
Yep. So they were 6th graders. So they would have been like the first time they were ever, introduced to basketball. There's a few kids that are, that'll be the group, I think, that changes things.
Yep.
But I will say we just had two juniors, and the 2 juniors that'll be juniors this year, they're decent. So like, one's an okay shooter. He's an okay scorer. For 1A. I think he had a couple of 20-point games, and then we got a relatively decent ball handler that's a junior as well.
Okay.
They're kind of our leaders.
Okay.
And then the other kids, we got one.
If you have a couple of those, the rest of the kids are going to follow. I'm just telling you. Like, it's like leading the pack.
So that's one of the issues I run into is those two, the 2 better ones at the high school level, they have a hard time buying in, or they're kind of lazy.
Okay.
So how would you, I kind of baby them along the way, and I'm not sure that was right. I didn't want to like.
And they're freshmen?
Well, they'll be juniors.
They'll be juniors.
They were sophomores.
What do they want to do? Do they want to play after high school, or this is just for fun, or what's
they're not going to be good enough to play after high school, I don't think. But one of them is a good baseball player, and he has a chance at like
playing baseball somewhere,
right? Or something like that.
Okay. Well, I think as a sophomore that's okay, but I think you got to have a discussion with them about expectations, and here's what's going to happen, and we want to win, and here's what I expect from you guys. And do you want, because they're competitive, I'm guessing they want to win. They don't like getting embarrassed. So I think you have that discussion with them. I mean, that's what I've done in the past and seemed to work. It's not an easy discussion, but it's like, here's the way it is. And, the lazy part, it's probably, I mean, it's hard in a smaller, there's no one pushing them. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah.
And that's, in a bigger school, there's always people nipping at you. Like, it's like the business world. It's like someone's going to, Pepsi's nipping at Coca-Cola kind of thing. There's always somebody in the, they're going to take your job, or they're going to take your consumer. So it's harder. I don't think it's my guess, and I don't know, I've never seen these guys. My guess is it's lazy. It's more complacency. It's more like, I don't have to do that. So that's where I think you challenge them as competitors, as, do you want to get better? I mean, teenage boys are an interesting cookie that, they're very egocentric. They have a they don't remember things. They, there's just anyway, but you can feed into the competitive part.
Mm-hmm.
And my guess is it's not lazy.
Well, yeah, I say
it,
lazy, but I just mean like,
you're just like, they don't have to. It's like they know
right,
they're the best player, and it's like,
exactly.
so it's like,
And they always
and,
have been.
and they always have been, and there really isn't, like, they're probably not out playing in their little world, they're really good, but in the
Right,
big world, they would be not very good, but they don't have gone out in the
exactly.
big world. They
Right.
haven't gone to the big city kind of thing. So that's the difference between, like, my guys are always going out and testing themselves against a lot better. So they know where they really are for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I would do. I would challenge, and then I would involve them. If you think they're a buy-in kind of kids, I'd hey, what do you think we should do here? How do you think? Because if there's ownership, then there's buy-in.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't let them pick the offense, but it's like, what do you think? Who's going to be the good opponents that we're going to play this year? How are we going to beat them? What do you think we should do? Blah blah blah. If you kind of suck them into the boardroom kind of
Player
thing,
coach
yeah,
mentality.
it helps. It does, because there's ownership now. All of a sudden, it's like, I've had a say and it didn't work, so a little bit of it
Right.
falls on me.
Yeah. So it's a super interesting dynamic. So those two are kind of, I would say they're half bought in, but there's like 3 or 4 kids. So we have one incoming freshman he's like 100% of the way bought in, and he's decent. He's a bigger kid.
Okay.
And then the other 2 or 3 kids we have, they're like, they're super bought in as well. But it's just those 2 kids that aren't,
Okay.
that need to be.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Like during the summer workouts. So we played some summer games, and we had a camp, and we had, some summer open gyms, or we call them like skill building sessions, where we'd focus on like shooting or ball handling or something like that. And we would just pound away at it for like an hour and a half and really get some shots up, or really work on, a specific skill.
right.
And, the 4 or 5 kids that aren't very good and they're bought in showed up, and they were working their tails off. And then the other 2 kids, they would show up, on time or sometimes late, and then they wouldn't really put in the effort that the other boys were putting in.
Yeah, that's where I think, first of all, I'd videotape it and I'd show them that, because that's always
Okay.
a good tape show. Like, is this the best you can do? And again, I try to do it as a life lesson thing that seems to work, especially if they're older. You're not going to go through life like this. So come in and, do it for a half hour, 45 minutes, but do it hard. I think personally, and again, I would worry about this, that if you have that 6th grade group, that's the group is probably going to turn the corner for you, because I'm not sure this group will. Don't know.
Right.
But these juniors, like, I would try to, the juniors, you're going to only maybe increase this much. Those other 5 for you, those are the ones, in order to win, you probably got to get them from here to here. The ones that are working hard, I just lean into them, because the 2 are juniors. You're relatively new, blah, blah, blah. These 6th graders won't know any better than you by the time they get there. So
yep,
you're it's the stats teacher. You're only going to do so much improvement with those juniors, and probably only get so far. I think the bottom ones are the ones that you can, like, that might be the difference between being 12 and 10 and 17 and 5 and that, what I mean? I think those are the ones that you got to, like, all right, I'm going to lean in on these 5 and make it fun, and make it like, because I think that's where your biggest improvement can come from.
Yeah.
I'm going to make them a shooter. I'm going to make them so they don't turn the ball over. I'm going to make it so they can dribble competently, blah, 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 I would make sure everyone that ever plays for you can shoot threes consistently.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, with small schools.
Well, so like every practice, I think we spent at least 30 minutes just shooting.
Yep. And I would do the different types of shots that you're getting out of your offense. It's like, I don't know what you run, but
so that's one of the things is, whenever we played against, someone just played a straight up man, or straight up zone, half court, we were fine and we could create shots and we could get some decent looks. But then, anytime they put any kind of pressure on us, even half court pressure, we ended up just turning the ball over.
Right. Yeah. I mean, turnovers are going to kill you. I mean, just at a smaller level.
Yeah.
When you end up, I mean, if you're playing a team with 5 decent guys, they're just going to pressure the crap out of you.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's the solution to that, is try to get those guys, if let's say they're a 10 is an All-American and they're a 3, try to get into a 6, because that's going to help you win more games short term, probably.
Right.
That's what I have found.
Okay.
Especially with the low numbers. I'm boggled by the number of numbers you have, but I had more in my open gym today that you probably got in your school. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we had an open gym on Saturday or Sunday night. That's why I couldn't do it on the call on Sunday night.
Right.
We just had 4 people show up.
So I'm hoping you're doing a lot of like shooting, but in dribbling, but small sided game stuff too, like 2-on-2, 2-on-1, 1-on-1.
Yep.
Make those bottom guys, unless they're totally not athletic at all.
Well, there is 2 that are like, one's got some like hip disorder where you're kind of runs like a duck, and I don't know.
I get it.
Some of our games last year was like watching the Bad News Bears. It felt like, at least from the headlines, I'm sure from the stands.
Should watch the old movie rather than the new Bad News Bears.
Oh yeah,
the classic.
Exactly.
If you're gonna watch it, I'm just telling the people that are listening. Okay. All right. So what else? What else on your list?
So like,
what are you running offensive? What are you running offensively first?
So we run like a 4-out motion offense against the man, and then like an overload movement offense against a zone. A lot of time, actually, we've been facing a lot of 1-2-2 zones where they pressure the crap out of the ball, and then if we can't get that initial pass down to the corner or in like a high post pass, then it's tough. Like a lot of times we turn the ball over.
Right.
This will probably, just listening to your podcast, I think we averaged around 30 turnovers a game last year.
Okay, you got to cut that down.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying you'll win more games if you do that one thing. You'll win more games. So
how do we do that?
You work on your ball handling. Okay. You put them in pressure situations where they are not going to pass. Because so if you had to describe how the turnovers are happening, how are they happening?
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Well, there's a couple things. So a lot of them is like, we'll pass the ball and then a kid just won't catch it, and then it'll just fall right into the defender's hands or go out of bounds, and then those turnovers I'm okay with, but a lot of times it's just like a direct pass to the other team.
Really?
Yeah. Or, the ball handler would dribble it off their foot.
Yeah. So the ball handling part, I think you can work with the ball handling. I think the passing and the not catching, it's because they're not playing enough and they're not used to. That's where I think playing 2-on-2, 3-on-3, small sided games, putting them in situations, all that kind of stuff, other than shooting and dribbling at your open, they just haven't played enough. Kids that do that just have not played enough. That's the issue.
Okay.
So I think by just doing that, putting them in situations where they're playing, I think that will take care of part of it. I also think you have to emphasize it to them that this is,
definitely, yeah. So it's one of the things, like, I listen to your podcast, like I get a lot of the stuff you're saying is like, I make a big deal out of, like, a turnover in practice where it's, we call them good and bad turnovers. Like, a good turnover is where it goes out of bounds, we get to set up defense, and a bad turnover is where, we make a bad pass and we're running a track meet for half the game. And I try and stop practice and, like, oh, your grandma's going to be so mad or something like this. And make it, make a big deal out of it and kind of emphasize the importance of turnovers. But then, it seems like once they get in the game, and they get tired,
they get tired and they get sped up.
Right.
So tired you can take care of during the season. I mean, you can solve that issue probably during the season. I think the bigger issue is how you're, I think the bigger issue is how you kind of deal with them not catching the ball and making passes to the other team. Do you watch film?
Yes.
Okay. And again, they're not doing it on purpose. I just think they get sped up, is my guess.
Sure.
And they get going too fast and they panic.
Right.
So I think, again, like I've said on my podcast a ton of times, is, they need to understand the math behind a turnover and how important it is. That it's a 6 point on the scoreboard. It's a 6 point turnaround every time you turn it over. And that, if you go from 30 to 20, you'll win another 7 games kind of thing.
Right.
Probably, because it's another 10 times you get to shoot,
right,
and a chance to score. So I think that's the issue with the turnovers, is you got to figure out a way to convey that to them. But I think now, until the season starts, or if how long you have open gyms still, playing, small sided, even if you have 4 guys 2-on-2, and change up the games and let them go. And because you can't 2-on-2, 3-on-3 is literally the best way to learn the game, for especially someone that hasn't played enough. Because you can't hide.
Right.
You can't hide.
Yeah.
And that's why I would be playing a lot of that with your guys. I think that will help with the turn. The more they play, the turnovers will get better. It'll be more that they're not thinking or doing stuff. Right now, some of it's probably capability.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of it's like mental capability as well, as they don't understand, what defenders are doing and what they're trying to force them to do. A lot of times, they'll play right into that even after, being coached not to. So that's all stuff that we can build on, of course. So another question is like, what would you do? So we play, so we're one of the smallest schools in the state. And we have schools in our area that are bigger, like I was saying, within 15 minutes that are on our schedule. So we're playing 4A schools, 3A schools regularly. Like, especially last year, and this upcoming year, we're still going to be, a lot of people will say there's no way we can win those games. And rationally, it'll be tough to win those games. But my approach has always been like, a never back down mentality is don't go into those games expecting to get your tails whipped,
right?
But fight and compete no matter what.
You got to make little mini games.
Okay.
Like win quarters, win this. Especially when you're playing
4 minutes or something.
Yeah, win. We're going to win the first 3 minutes, and then we're going to win. You got to micro win games. Like, we're going to have less. We've been averaging 27 turnovers. We're going to have 22. We're going to have 6 more attempts at the basket. We're going to out rebound them. So you got to make games within games, because it's probably the game on the scoreboard. Your small school is going to be harder. But again, and then how you sell it to them is we want to get 1% better every day, you know, 2% better every day. Because if we do, and then, you know, does everybody get in the tournament in Missouri, or does it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
have like class tournaments. So it's
so everybody
class
gets
one
in.
just
Yeah.
in
Yep.
tournament.
Yeah, but everybody gets in. Yeah. So that's what you're building toward. That's what you keep telling them. We're building toward March. We're building toward February. We're building toward tournament. We're building toward, what did we do well? Did we win this? How did we do here? And then you could chart the whole season, because especially with you having to play bigger schools, you should be charting, you know, turnovers, points per possession, free throw percentage, things that you can win that aren't necessarily on the scoreboard. Because that's what I did early in my career. I had a chart. Bobby Knight used to have like 15 things he charted, and I would chart specific things like, you know, defensive style. And you could start selling which boxes mattered and which didn't, and less than 7 turnovers and less than some of those things. It definitely is helpful.
Another question I have is, so they're like, one of the biggest obstacles I feel about, you know, one of the things you said was just getting players in, is I'm not a teacher for this school. So I don't get a lot of time around, you know, like lunchroom or just in the hallways, like to recruit kids.
Right.
I do have one assistant at the high school level.
Okay.
So middle school, I'm by myself. I have one assistant in the high school level. Last year, he was a special ed teacher.
Okay.
For the
So
school.
that helped maybe a little bit.
Yeah. And then, but then this year, we had some things happen. But now he's a gym teacher. So
okay.
What's the strategy? What's the strategy you would employ there?
So I think the youth thing is perfect. Okay. You got to figure out ways to connect with the high school kids. There's a couple things. Obviously open gyms is good. I just think about the connections I made with some of my guys. Just came out of the open gym. So I think open gyms are good for that out of season. Do anything you could do to get to school and connect there would be good. I would go to I used to go to all their sporting events when I was a lot younger. So if they're playing football, I go to their football game. I mean, I'm just making sure they see me as much as possible. Right. And then I have, you know, open gym, you know, there's a different demeanor now than there is during the season. So, you know, I'm joking with one of my guys about his girlfriend when we were leaving, about, you know, because he was all smiling when he was talking about her. It was pretty funny. But no, I mean, I can do that. I can be more jokey in that during the off season, because I think that's when you got to build that trust. So anything you could do to build trust, do a cookout, have everybody that came to any open gyms over your house, cook out, let them play volleyball in the backyard, whatever it is, things like that is where you build the trust. So when you have to be hard on them and you have to do those things later, it makes it easier. You know, we've done infinite number of ways of engaging them, but I think that's, you got to try to get to school as much, because talk about a small school. If you're there, they'll know you're there. Like, I show up to a football game, I don't even know if they know I'm there. But yeah, I think that's something that you really gotta lean into. I agree.
So we have, like, there's 2 kids that, you know, have more athletic ability than 80% of the kids that play basketball that won't play. And they'll play baseball, but not basketball. Should I spend a lot of extra?
They will play. They won't. Why don't they play basketball?
They say they don't enjoy it. And I think it's like, you know, in the past years, they just gotten waxed in games. So then, you know, it makes them feel bad. Of course it does. Yeah. But, you know, I wouldn't worry about anybody that's going to be a junior or senior at this point. If they don't want to play, you're not, I mean, it's going to be a junior. Anybody. Yeah. So your sophomore is going to be juniors are fine. Your freshmen, but anybody that was a junior last year that's going to be a senior. Oh yeah. At this point, I wouldn't even worry about it.
Anybody else that shows some interest, it's like, hey, just come play. We're just running, blah blah blah. You don't have to come out, but it's like you just want to get them in the gym playing with their friends.
Okay.
Any way you can do that. Yes, it's a tough sell because you got to get over the hurdle, because once you start winning some games, then that is not an issue.
Exactly.
The issue is it's like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? You got to get them there to win games. I get that. That's why I think you're doing the right thing with the 6th, 7th, 8th. You're leaning in, make this fun. Here we go. You're going to be, the ones that make the difference and turn this thing around. And they're going to talk about you, 50 years from now, blah, 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 all that kind of whatever you have to do to lean in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so we didn't have to deal with playing time concerns with parents last year,
right?
Because we just had 5 or 6 kids and everyone played. This next year we got a couple of freshmen that will start, undoubtedly, and so there's a couple kids that you can definitely feel that they feel like they're entitled to play, and they've never really had to earn anything or earn a roster spot or earn playing time. And this next year they'll struggle. They'll still play, but they won't see the floor time that they have experienced in the past.
Right.
And a couple of their parents are like school board members. So what's those conversations?
They're all going to play some. It's just going to be different amounts.
Yeah. Like I've done some mapping, just expected playing time in the first half. Of course, this is all subject to change by effort and how much they progress. But I want to get my guys, like one of the podcasts that I was listening to the other night, you were saying, all of my guys will sit in the first half. And I love that idea of, giving them.
Everybody needs a rest. If they're not going hard enough, they don't need a rest. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So if everyone's getting a break in the first half and they may get, 3 to 5 minutes here or there. Okay. And then, in blowouts, which we expect to get blown out a few games next year. Undoubtedly, they'll play during those games, but like we're hoping to be more competitive this year.
Right.
And I think we will be.
But so how many do you think you'll have on your roster?
9.
So you're talking about 8 and 9 probably.
Yeah,
is what you're talking about, because the first 7 will play pretty quality minutes. No.
Well, the 7 guys, like,
So here's the issue. It's part of it. If you're only playing 5, that's why you're running out of gas. You're turning the ball over. I mean, my guess is, so you got to figure a way to get to 7 on a consistent basis. 8 and 9 are the ones that are kind of mapping out the last few, the 5 or 6 minutes. So you got to figure out how, like, am I playing my best 4 and then number 8s, and then my, 1, 2 or 2, 3, and 4 and 7 and 8 together. I mean, that's what you got to figure out, the mapping.
Yeah. So like last year we had 6. So, and then, 4, 5, 6 will be 7, 8, 9.
6, 7, 8, 9. So they should have some experience at least with playing and stuff, right? Like, I mean,
yeah, but I mean,
I know you're saying.
Just being realistically, like they wouldn't make a team anywhere.
So I get it. So I get that. So I think part of your lean in is how can you get all of them some. I mean, yes, I would play. I mean, your top 7 should be in quality minutes, probably. And then 8 and 9 are the ones you're going to have to deal with. Because that will, I think part of that is conditioning, part of that is rotation, part of that. And again, last 4 minutes of the game, last 6 minutes of the game, whatever, it's not it's different. But I think just me not having seen your team and you describing it, that's where I think you really got to spend it. Like, how can I get 4, 5, 6 time That's not that we're gonna just at least stay level where we are. So we make a run and then we level, then we make a run, then we level, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the issue that I run into is like they would all like anytime that they're guarded by someone or have the ball, it almost always turns into a turnover.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. So whenever we're trying to limit turnovers, I almost cringe like whenever, we're in like a competitive game situation and then they catch the ball on the run or something like that. And then, they travel or something like that. It just kills momentum.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little lost in how you, first of all, the scoreboard thing, it's like, do what you got to do. Like,
sure.
Whatever.
Well, yeah.
If you lose,
I mean,
that's kind of my theory. It's like, whatever, if you're going to fire me, like you got to do what you got to do so you can sleep at night. So that's not the issue. The issue more, I think, from a program building is like, all right, how can I extend this, even though they're not as good? How can I not have the ball in their hands? How can I play a defense that they can do?
Exactly. Yeah. So last year we played a lot of zone.
Yep.
Like a 1-3-1 is what I prefer to play. They've been coached all their lives to play in this pack it in 2-3 and just let people shoot over them, which is another pet peeve of mine. So we worked on a ton of just running them off the line, not letting them, get open looks and covering men instead of like areas.
Right.
I mean, I was just curious on your thoughts on.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. I could look at some tape, but sounds like it's going to change some, but yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like, yeah, I think you extending that thing is going to be, like I said, try to rest, try to figure out rotations, try to figure out what you can run to hide the ones.
That actually rolls right into one of my next questions. Is I was raised and I'm a real high energy coach. And what I want to do versus what we can do are two different things. Like I would love to play fast paced, press the ball and run and gun. And our players now, our high school players will, they're more unathletic, slower, and they're not very big. Should we slow down the pace?
You should. So here's the math
for the high school kids.
The pace of play. If I'm better than you, I want more possessions. I want faster game.
Right.
If you're not as good as the opponent that you're playing, you should have longer possession. It's a law of large numbers. It's like, if I'm better than you, the more possessions, the more likely the sample probability is going to become the theoretical probability, and I'm going to beat you. I'm better than you. So the way you can minimize that, like a blackjack example, if I count cards, I can minimize the probability, make it close to 50-50. I can make it closer by slowing the game down against you. Now the problem is you turn the ball over, you don't have ball handlers, it's harder to turn it over. That's why you got to become shooters, because that can kind of neutralize some of that.
Okay.
By taking threes. Yes, I've had teams where I would have loved to gone up and I couldn't, because we weren't good enough and we wanted to win. So I think part of it is pace of play is important. Shot selection is important. Not turning it over is important. But I think you have to figure out, I was talking to another coach about this, you have to figure out what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
accentuate it, and what you're bad at, hide it. So,
Sure.
Longer possessions might not be
one
better.
of the things that I am challenged with is, so the 7th grade group will be like the group, right? I want to, at least get into like the state tournament instead of districts.
Yep.
So that group can play fast pace and can run. And so is there value to not having the high school do that so they can see how we want to play?
They're totally separate entities. Don't worry about what the high school is doing, what they're doing. They are a separate entity. Like that's like similar to when I took over my program. We were doing this, but I knew I had this group in the middle school that I had to do different things. Do what you got to do with them, and if they're good at it, feed it.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's that is good to know. So what
you got? I got another one in like 2 minutes, Coach. So
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. 11:15 is my other one.
Last one. So
I just saw a link up. Yep.
So your sideline press break.
Yes.
I wish I found that last year. We haven't ran it, but I want to implement it this year. That involves kind of going fast to break the press.
It does until half court, but there won't be anybody around them. So unless they're they might dribble it off their foot. I get it.
Sure.
But you're going to get your best ball handler of the ball every time.
Okay. And then once you get to half court, pull it back,
set your stuff up. It will work.
Okay.
Against man or zone every time. They can't stop. Right. There's no way to stop it because they don't want to get beat deep. So it will work. It always works.
That's what the plan is, to run that as press breaker, but we'll try it.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll talk again, Coach. All right.
Yeah, thank you for the time.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Bye. Hey, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like. We love those. And send me an email, steve@teachhoops.com. Tell me what you want to hear in the future. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Have a great day.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Memorial Day doorbuster deals are here at Lowe's. Right now, Rewards members save $80 on the Master Forge 4-burner gas grill, now just $149. Plus, Rewards members save $900 on the Lowe's exclusive Hisense French door refrigerator, now only $999. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/26. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Subject to change.